Hey, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing good on this 4th of July. We're going to have a little bit different of a podcast today. We're going to start out with a reading of the preamble of the Constitution, and then we're going to have a special guest reading from memory from Chaplain Steve Allison of the Tomball VFW. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. What's up, and welcome to the Triple Threat Vet Podcast. I'm here with my boy Matt Johnson. What's going on, Matt? Welcome to the podcast. Happy 4th of July.
America's birthday.
America's birthday, that's right. We got a special show here. We'll pretty much get right to it. I want to welcome a guy that I've seen do what he's about to do about 4 or 5 times. But he's a great mentor of mine. He is a Vietnam veteran from the United States Army. He's been a chaplain in the Tomball VFW for many, many years, elected position that I know of. He's been for many, many years. And he's going to do, from memory, a Paul Harvey segment that aired probably back in the late 70s, early 80s called Our Lives, Our Fortunes, and Our Sacred Honor. He's laughing at me. So, yeah, without further ado, let's bring on Chaplain Steve Allison. Welcome to the show, chap.
I look a whole lot older than you look.
Well, I mean, you got all that handsomeness there, so
I wouldn't swear to that.
They call that experience. That's what they call that.
So anyway, Chaplain, I've heard you do this, probably 3 or 4 times. When did you start reading this, and then when did you start committing this to memory?
Oh, I've had this memorized for probably 20 years or more. Yeah. Paul Harvey wrote this thing back in the late 50s, and every year, the day before Independence Day, he would recite it on his commentary at noon. The last thing he would do, and then he would sign off. He was one of my mentors. I've been a ham radio operator for many, many years, and talking on the radio is a wonderful thing for me, but I'm not sure I like my picture up.
Oh, yeah. Handsome as can be, Chaplain.
I have a face for radio.
That's okay. I tend to disagree. So, Chaplain, I don't want to hold you up. Without further ado, please, the floor is yours.
Lot of people's names these were real people. We hear the names and Benjamin Franklin and all of them, and we must remember that they were real people. They had families. They had children that they loved dearly. They spent their entire life trying to take care of their neighbors, and they lived one day at a time just like we do. We are blessed that the founders of this country had such quality and character and honor. These are special things. These are not just words. Words mean things. I love this piece. I've memorized stuff most of my life. We were forced in middle school to memorize the Gettysburg Address. I think that was the first thing I did, and I seem to have a affinity for memorization, so I've kind of made that a hobby all of my life. And as my memory is going now, it's a good thing I have it all memorized, Ty. But without further ado, and I always like to give credit, this is intellectual property. It's not mine. I didn't write it. I can memorize it, but I don't have that gift from God. But there are people like Paul Harvey. His full name is Paul Harvey Arant Jr. He was lost his father, who was a police officer when he was a very small boy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His father was murdered on the job, and I can't fathom losing my dad at that early age. But let's get on with this thing. It's titled "We Mutually Pledge." We mutually pledge. Americans, you remember the cherry tree story a long time after you forget the more earth-shaking, history-making episodes in the life of George Washington. You have misplaced in your memory the details of Ben Franklin's statesmanship, but you remember his flying a kite. George Kilmer was a great military hero, but the only thing you personally recall of him is his poetic tribute to trees. I would like to bequeath something else to you. As I get older, I am losing things. I bequeath unto you something else to remember from that same time in our American history. You may not be able to quote one line from the Declaration of Independence at this moment. Henceforth, you will always be able to quote at least one line. It's in the last paragraph where you will recall when I remind you. It says, "We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." You recognize those impressive words, but you don't understand them until you know the rest of the story. So here goes. In the Pennsylvania State House, what is now called Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the best men from each of the colonies sat down together. This was a fortunate hour in our nation's history, one of those rare occasions in the lives of men when we had greatness to spare. These were men of means, well educated. 24 were lawyers and jurists, 11 were merchants, 9 were farmers and owners of large plantations. On June 11th, a committee sat down to draw up a Declaration of Independence. We were going to tell our British fatherland no more rule by redcoats. Below the dam of ruthless foreign rule, the stream of freedom was running shallow and muddy. We were lighting the fuse to dynamite that dam. This pact, as Burke later put it, was a partnership between the living and the dead and the yet unborn. There was no bigotry, no demagoguery in this group. All of them had shared hardships. Jefferson finished a draft of the document in 17 days. Congress adopted it in July. So much is familiar history. Now, King George had denounced all rebels in America as traitors. The punishment for treason was hanging. The names now so familiar to you from the several signatures on that declaration, the names were kept secret for 6 months, for they knew the full meaning of that last magnificent paragraph in which their signature pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor. 56 men placed their names beneath that pledge. 56 men knew when they signed that they were risking everything. They knew if they won this fight, the best they could expect would be years of hardship in a struggling nation. If they lost, they faced a hangman's rope, and yet they signed the pledge. And that is the rest of the story. Here is the documented fate of that gallant 56. Carter Braxton, wealthy planter and trader, saw his ships swept from the seas. To pay his debts, he lost his home and all of his properties and died in rags. Thomas Lynch, Jr., who signed that pledge, was a third-generation rice grower, aristocrat, large plantation owner. After he signed, his health failed. With his wife, he set out for France to regain his failing health. Their ship never got to France. He was never heard from again. Thomas McKean of Delaware was so harassed by the enemy he was forced to move his family 5 times in 5 months. He served in Congress without pay, his family in poverty and in hiding. Vandals looted the properties of Ellery and Clymer and Hall and Gwinnett and Walton and Hayward and Rutledge and Middleton. Thomas Nelson, Jr. of Virginia, raised $2 million on his own signature to provision our allies, the French fleet. After the war, he personally paid back the loans, wiping out his entire estate. He was never reimbursed by his government. In the final battle for Yorktown, he, Nelson, urged General Washington to fire on his, Nelson's, own home, which was occupied by Cornwallis. He died bankrupt. Thomas Nelson, Jr. had pledged his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor. The Hessians seized the home of Francis Hopkinson of New Jersey. Francis Lewis saw his home destroyed, his family scattered. Philip Livingston died within a few months. I jumped a couple. Francis Lewis saw his lands destroyed and his family scattered, his wife imprisoned. She died within a few months. Richard Stockton, who signed that declaration, was captured, mistreated, his health broken to the extent that he died at 51. His estate was pillaged. Thomas Hayward, Jr. was captured when Charleston fell. John Hart was driven from his wife's bedside while she was dying. Their 13 children fled in all directions for their lives. His fields and gristmill were laid waste. For more than a year, he lived in forests and caves and returned home after the war to find his wife dead, his children gone, his properties gone. He died a few weeks later of exhaustion and a broken heart. Lewis Morris saw his lands destroyed, his family scattered. Philip Livingston died soon after signing. John Hancock, history remembers best due to a quirk of fate rather than anything he actually stood for. That great sweeping signature, attesting to his vanity, towers over the others. One of the wealthiest men in New England. One terrible night of the war, he stood outside Boston and said, "Burn Boston," though it makes John Hancock a beggar if the public good requires it. He too lived up to the pledge. Of the 56, few were long to survive. 5 were captured by the British and tortured before they died. 12 had their homes from Rhode Island to Charleston sacked, looted, occupied by the enemy, or burned. 2 lost their sons in the army. 1 had 2 sons captured. 9 of the 56 died in the war from its hardships or from its more merciful bullets. I don't know what impression you had of those men who met that hot summer in Philadelphia, but I think it's important to remember this about them. They were not poor men. They were not wild-eyed pirates. These were men of means. These were rich men, most of them, who enjoyed much ease and luxury in their personal living. Not hungry men, prosperous men, wealthy landowners, substantially secure in their prosperity. But they considered liberty, and this is as much as I shall say of it. They learned that liberty is so much more important than security, that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And they fulfilled their pledge. They paid the price, and freedom was born. That ends what Paul Harvey would do, but I want to add one caveat. I think we need to remember another man, the man who had 2 sons captured. His name was Abraham Clark from New Jersey. He gave 2 of his sons to the Army Officer Corps. Just as the war was just about over, the British knew they had lost. Cornwallis had not been defeated at Yorktown yet, but it was coming in just a few days. His sons were captured, and they were put on the Jersey Hell ship, which was a POW ship anchored in New York Harbor. When they learned who these 2 young officers were, they put them in solitary confinement to starve them to death, and sent a message to their father, Abraham Clark. If you will renounce signing the Declaration of Independence and come out for king and parliament, we will give you your sons. I have 4 sons. I can't fathom what went through that man's head. I know he loved his sons, but he loved his honor also. He answered with one word: no. Ty, thank you for letting me play in your sandbox.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that so much. I've seen you do this at least 5 times, and each time I get goosebumps. So thank you very much. I'm actually thoroughly impressed that we actually got it recorded this time. And so, well, thank you very much.
Can you edit out my mistakes?
Oh, heck yeah. When I put this out, it's going to be perfect.
Don't do that. I'm human just like everybody else.
Well, I want to thank you very much for doing that. What do you think about that, Matt?
No, it was amazing. I loved hearing that. So I think that a lot of people, especially today, you live in the greatest country in the world. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. But a lot of people probably don't learn very much about what you just recited from memory, something that was celebrated, not in the too far gone past, like we used to remember stuff like that. So, I mean, when you think about how things go and what people sacrifice to make us what we are today, today's the day that you celebrate that. And I just appreciate you coming on and reciting that. I mean, there's not much you can say about it, but it was amazing. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chaplain. So tell me, when did you enter the service?
I entered the service on a lie.
Let's hear it.
I got a letter from the draft board that said, "Greetings, your friends and neighbors have selected you," and it was signed by Lyndon Baines Johnson. And I went and talked to every friend and neighbor I had and said, "Have you ever selected me for anything?" And Ty, remember when you were in first grade during recess, 2 boys would get out there and they'd get all the other boys. "Okay, I want you and I want you." Steve, remember, you were the last one ever picked. So I went into the Army on a lie, Matt.
Oh my goodness.
So.
You couldn't even get.
But I lived. I lived.
You're here. You're here. There you go.
Chaplain's not a loophole kind of guy, so
I'm just saying. He just said nobody ever picked him, so he can't go up and be like, "Listen, you can go to all my friends and neighbors. You can ask everybody what is in here. I want to know who told you to write this. Like, who did my mom and dad tell you to write this? Or are they trying to get me out of the house? What's going on here?
Well, I can tell you from experience, I've known this man for about 7 years now. I retired in 2017 and became pretty engaged with the Tomball VFW, and he's been the chaplain the entire time I've been there. And his words of wisdom, the community service he's done, the experiences he's had. My children actually are on the swim team with his grandchildren, and I hang out with his son when I go to swim team. So this man is thoroughly enmeshed into my family as well, not only from service perspective, not only from a post service veteran service officer or veteran service organization perspective, but like our families are together on a lot of times. So I love hearing it. Thank you very much, Chaplain Allison.
Ty, thank you for letting me play in your sandbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with your toys.
Yeah, absolutely.
These as a ham radio operator, I see some stuff that if I thought I could get out of here with them, I might.
Yeah.
He might not be looking. He might turn around. If he does, there's your moment.
Yeah, when I turn the camera back towards me, I'll give you 10 seconds. You can take whatever you want to.
It's going to be like, and then go.
But Chaplain, thank you so much for coming on. I know you got to get back to your wife.
Yep, I've got to take care of her.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Ty, Matt, nice meeting you, my man.
You too. Thank you.
You're my people.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Chaplain.
Bye-bye.
We'll catch you soon. You want to?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
He told me he was going to walk out with some stuff.
Yeah, he was about to take my headphones. Thanks, Chaplain. Yeah.
He wasn't joking.
What do you think about that?
That's cool. I think that anybody that memorizes stuff like that to recite it, loves and believes in what it means to live in this country,
Yeah, I used to listen to Paul Harvey all the time when I was young.
Yeah.
My parents would listen to it, my uncles. So hearing these things throughout my childhood, and then one day, I think it was 2018, maybe 2017. I don't remember the first time I heard him do it, but he actually said, I'm gonna, read something by Paul Harvey, and then he's gonna recite something, and I was like, okay. And then he did the whole thing like straight through, and like every single time I get chills. So I love that Americanism stuff. So hey, I just wanted to have a quick show tonight. Matt or not Matt, but Al and Scott aren't able to be here tonight, and we were gonna have another guest, but we'll have them on some other time. But I just wanted to get on and wax poetic with you for a second, man, and be sure we had the chaplain on. And what are you doing today, anyway?
I didn't do anything today. It's America's birthday. It's a day to take a day off and rest, dude. So I haven't done anything today. No,
well, that's good.
I just before we came on here, I got to go finish watching it. Clear and Present Danger, amazing movie. If you haven't watched it, you should go check that out. Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan, it's good
for sure.
What's crazy though is when you go back and watch movies like that, they're still fucking talking trash about the same shit we're talking trash about today. And that movie was made like 89, and it's the same exact talk track.
Yeah,
crazy, right?
Yeah,
we just don't learn. That's what it is. We don't learn. What'd you do today, Ty? How about you?
Well, I've been under the weather the last couple of days, and I just kind of like relaxed today and didn't do anything. And then, sometime along the ways, I realized that Scott and Al weren't going to be here, so I took a nap. That's why I probably look all swollen. I'm doing my 50-year-old thing.
Oh, bro,
I guess today.
Don't lie. Listen, you can say that you're doing the 50-year-old thing when you say that, but anybody that is watching this now that is super young, that's like, oh, what a bitch. Older people are like, my man. Everyone at some point is going to be like, I really need to take a nap today. A nap would be amazing.
Yeah.
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 So you enjoy those naps.
For sure.
You earn those. How many times did you not sleep? Right? Now it's time, take a nap. It's all good.
What are you doing right now?
Talking to you.
We should probably go meet up and go eat dinner or something since we're,
Yeah, I don't know. I did the All-American thing. We made hamburgers for 4th of July and ate those for dinner and that kind of stuff. But like no plans, dude. I'm not going to go out anywhere and watch fireworks, nothing like that. You'll see some people trying to burn their hands off in the neighborhood shooting fireworks. So we'll watch those. But it's just been quiet, very quiet.
Yeah, it's abnormal. When it gets too quiet, I think I start getting a little bit nervous. I'm used to a little bit of chaos. So today has been, very quiet. Having the chaplain at my house has been great. He's actually never been to my house before. So that was great having him over. Yeah, kind of like having people here. I got to get a better camera if we do this with more people here. But anyway.
Yeah, you could rock it with a 2-camera deal and and just use those mic jacks on your board, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll work.
Yep, it'll work.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you being here for this. I know we're having a real short show today, but I mean, I think it was for posterity. I think it was great that we got that on camera. He's been doing it forever, and I've never been able to record it all the way through. So I'm glad. And if his sons are watching, thanks for watching, and glad we could have him on. It was an honor for us, for sure.
Yeah. So Luann Bates said power naps. Power naps. That's what you need to take.
Oh yeah, power naps. That's it right there. About. I can take a 7-minute power nap and be ready for the rest of the day.
5 minutes and you're good for at least the next 36 hours. So
yeah, something like that. That's the way it is in the Army, I guess. Well, hey brother, I love you. Happy 4th, and I'll probably call you here in about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. Have a good 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. And just like the good old saying says, land of the free because of the brave. So thank you to all of our service members, past, present, and future, that made it possible for our country to be free and to be the one that it is today. And just when you're out there, appreciate where you live. Appreciate being an American. Appreciate living in this country, and appreciate everything that comes with being in this country. Make a difference, and just be better. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Happy 4th of July.